Hello, welcome back to the Cubase Fundamentals course. In the last episode we recorded this 8-bar guitar part, and I want to talk a little bit today about what's actually happened on the physical hard drive, because this audio has been recorded into our system, but we need to understand how and why and where and what we can do with it. So today we're going to talk about the audio pool, which is the thing that stores all of our audio data and allows us to arrange it, manipulate it, organize it, delete it if we don't need it. And you want to get into the habit of managing your pool as cleanly as you possibly can, because if you ever need to go back and recover some audio that you've previously recorded or maybe deleted the track from it, the better organized and cleaner your pool is, the easier all of this stuff is going to be. Now we have some project preferences that are really important here. If we go to Edit, Preferences, Editing, Audio, you basically take a snapshot of that screen and make those settings the same as me, then you won't go far wrong. Everything inside this project, this song, I want to be stored within the song. Now the alternative approach for you to have is to have an external pool of audio that you dip into for all of your different projects. I can't process that, I can't handle that. So if you basically have these settings, with your copy all files to project folder is the most important one to set, but also convert to project settings and copy to project folder if needed. Anything that you drag into your project, if you get audio from outside and bring it into your project, it's going to create a local copy for you, and it's going to create it in a folder called audio inside your project folder. So if we have a look at our root project 1 folder here, you can now see that there's an audio folder, and inside that audio folder we have some WAV files. Now then, we've only got one guitar part, and yet there are all of these different WAV files. What's that all about? Well, when I was preparing the video for the last episode, I didn't have a guitar part in mind when I first plugged the guitar in. So I just had a bit of a practice, some various run-throughs before I decided what the lick was going to be that I was going to record. So even though on the video you only see one copy, there were actually multiple rehearsals. And I'm going to show you how we can actually hear some of my previous attempts through some of these WAV files. But rather than double clicking on one, I'm going to do it from within Cubase. Now the magic button that we want to look at is this little folder symbol up here, open pool window. And here is our pool, and here are all of the previous takes. Now how do we know which one that we're actually listening to? We're only listening to one piece of music here. There is a way to do that. If I select the audio event itself and go to Audio, find Selected in Pool, then it's going to auto-select the part that's actually being played, the event that's actually being played. I shouldn't use the word part, because it does have its own meaning in terms of Cubase. But this is it. And we can play that piece of music from within the editor. Now remember when I made deliberate mistakes on the first pass, right at the very beginning of the playback, I got my timing wrong? If I press play, there's my timing mistake. So here we've got that lead in of silence, and then at the beginning of the playback of this section here, this is an 8-bar section where I make mistakes, and it's the second 8-bar section that we're actually listening to. Remember when we had a look at the lanes? Now all of these previous versions still exist, so we can select any of these and press play, and then we'll get to hear the previous mistakes or takes or attempts that I've made. So this is take 9, where I was just, as I say, preparing for the video. There's my deliberate mistakes section, and somewhere in one of these two takes I've done something that I didn't like, and so just decided not to use that one, deleted it, and then started again, so that for the purposes of the video it looked like I was only doing one take, but I wasn't. It actually took me 12 attempts, because I'm like useless at this stuff, to get one that I was actually happy with. And you can see at the outset I was playing completely different things. I was figuring out what notes I was going to play. Now all of this stuff, takes 1 to 11, they're useless to us. We don't want them anymore. We don't want them polluting our project. So if we right click on the audio, and say remove unused media, Cubase will figure out that only take number 12 is in use and it doesn't need all of the rest of them. And what we're going to say is we're going to trash them, which moves them to our waste bin. And now you can see only take 12's being retained. Let's open the trash, and here's all of the existing files. Now this is critical. Let's go back to Explorer to have a look what our hard disk looks like. Exactly the same. We're going to get onto this 13 thing down here, the 0K. Just put a pin in that. We'll deal with that shortly. But all of the other files are still there. They've not been deleted. That's because moving things to the trash can simply removes them from the project. They haven't been physically deleted from the disk. But we can delete them physically from the disk. Once we're absolutely certain that we don't want any of these takes anymore, we can right click on the trash can, empty trash, and we want to erase. This is going to physically delete that audio from the disk. So you need to make sure that you're absolutely happy with this. This is irrevocable. Gone. Now all of those files are gone. Now let's have a look at Explorer. Here we go. Just take 12 is left. And here is our rogue 0KB 13 WAV file. What's that all about? Now I've only been able to derive this empirically because there's nothing about this in the documentation, but when you select an audio part, it creates that 0K file, and it's locked as well. If I select that file and attempt to delete it, it won't let me. Cubase is using it for some reason, so I basically just don't worry or just ignore any 0K files. It's some sort of internal tagging system that Cubase uses that we don't need to worry about. Let's have a bit more of a look at the file that's now remaining. So we're down to a clean pool, and if we open the little plus symbol, you can actually see all the looped takes. So these correspond to the lanes. We have a third incomplete lane. This is the extra little bit just before I press stop, which isn't actually represented as an event inside Cubase. There's some sort of lead in time that if you click stop soon enough after you've come round on a new take, it realizes that you don't really want it and doesn't represent it in the viewer, but it is in the pool. So every single millisecond of audio that you, in between when you press record and when you press stop, is recorded in the pool. So now we can select take 1, press play, and there's my deliberate timing mistake at the beginning of the first take. So we can actually audition each of these things individually. And this is where I stop. I don't generally tend to go any further than this when I'm writing a song. You might be tempted to think, well, let's just cut all the rubbish away and keep the 8 bars that we actually want. The problem with that is that if these are the 8 bars that I want, I don't actually want playback to begin at exactly this point. I actually want a tiny little bit of lead-in. Because when you're playing musical instruments, things don't happen exactly on the line. You've got some stuff that begins before the bar counter. So what I'm going to do is zoom in really tight so that we can see this waveform. You can see this little black dot in the bottom left hand corner. I'm going to drag that to the left. And now you can just about see before the bar 5 counter that there's noise happening. This is why I told you to move the part 4 bars forwards. Again, using the wrong terminology, it's an event at this point. But I told you to move it 4 bars forwards. Let's make this area absolutely huge so that we can really clearly see it. There's 2 ways that you can do it. You can either hover over the bottom of the lane and drag it, or you can hit Z and it'll zoom the currently selected tracks. Okay. Zoom in even further, and there you can see this is the beginning of the wave. It comes before 5. Now if I cut this event at exactly bar 5 and then did something to remove that audio, I'm going to actually do some of this shortly and you'll see I would lose this little bit of audio before the bar counter. So be really careful when you're chopping stuff up that you're not doing any permanent damage to any part of the audio that you want to keep. So where did this audio come from? Because we got these two lanes that are 8 bars long each, and yet I was able to drag this window back and see other stuff. Well, it turns out that this audio event is just one big long line of just over 16 bars. The fact that we're representing it as 2 bars of 8 is neither here nor there. It's got absolutely nothing to do with it. So if I shrink this window back to be exactly bar 5 and delete this first lane, so that was my practice attempt. I've not actually deleted anything. The pool still looks exactly the same. The audio is still all there. I can pick this audio window up and drag back, and there is the audio. So this stuff in the project viewer is purely representational. It's just a view on the audio data behind, but all of that audio data is still there. If I scroll out this way, there's the little bit of tail at the end before I pressed stop. So now what we're going to do is we're going to clean this up so that we've got exactly what we want. I'm going to press Control and zoom into this bit. About here, we know we're in complete silent territory and we don't need that audio at all. So I'm going to select my scissors, and this is hugely important. I'm going to turn snap off. I'm not interested anymore in the song markers. What I do want, however, is this button to the left of it. That's really important. It's called Snap to Zero Crossing. And the reason why I've chosen Snap to Zero Crossing is because as I scroll across now, can you see I'm moving the mouse as carefully as I possibly can, but it's actually jumping in quantized segments. These are the moments when the wave is at 0, and so they're the safest points to cut because you don't get the sample clicks if you choose any amplitude other than 0. So I'm going to cut there, and now we don't need any of this data. Don't forget, I've not done anything there. I've not done anything permanently destructive. I could drag this window back and the data is still there. Control zoom out, Control zoom in, and I can be a little bit more relaxed on my tail. I'll choose there, get rid of that. Now this is the audio event that I really want. That's my entire guitar part. And I know for sure and certain that I don't want any of the audio on either side, my failed attempt and my trailing silence. So I'm now completely safe to remove all of that audio permanently. And there is a way that we can do that. It's called bounce. In order to bounce audio, basically make permanent the temporary changes that we've applied to this event, you want to select it, go into audio and choose bounce selection, and you can see it's also the keyboard command O. So I've now got this box and it says, do you want to replace the event? Yes, I do. I want to permanently change this in the pool. So if I say replace, now this is the only audio we've got. If I once again try to drag to the left, I'm dragging to the left here and there is nothing to drag. All of that data is gone. Let's have a look at it in the pool. We've now got two files. Our original guitar chord 112 is no longer the file that's in use. The one that's in use is the one above. I'll prove that. Find selected in pool. And I drag my pool back. This is the event that's selected. The other one is no longer used. And so we've thrown away all of that rubbish that we don't need anymore. Little bit of housekeeping, right click on the audio folder, remove unused media, send it to the trash, and now our original audio is gone. Our single, clean, perfect audio take is the only thing that's left. Final bit of housekeeping to be done is to empty the trash, erase permanently, and that's it, absolutely clean. Let's have a look at File Explorer. There is our single WAV file and our mysterious rogue 0 file that we don't worry about. So that was an internal view on what's going on under the hood that many people don't even know this stuff exists, and yet if you do and you can manage it properly, your ability to navigate your own projects and stay absolutely on top of what you're doing just increases exponentially. It's so much easier for us to manage our audio if we do these little bits of housekeeping. And if you do them regularly and you keep on top of it and you don't let the pool get completely out of hand, and sometimes I do, but if you try to make sure that all of this stuff stays nice and clean and tidy, then you're just going to have so much more of an easy time when you come to dealing with your audio. Just make absolutely sure you never delete anything that you're not 100% certain that you don't want, because sometimes mistakes can be happy mistakes. Just keep everything nice and neat and your life will be much happier for it. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button. I'll see you for the next one. Thanks a lot.